Toronto, on the north shore of Lake Ontario, is one of Canada's largest urban centres. It is the core to Canada's financial, commercial, industrial, and cultural life. It is home to hundreds of cultures and spoken languages. Located on One Front Street East in downtown Toronto, for the first 36 years has been known as the O'Keeffe Centre for the Performing Arts. It opened on October 1st, 1960 with a red carpet gala.
The biggest part of the renovation really had to do with trying to restore all of the fantastic elements that were put into the building when it was first built in 1960. And those things are, the major two things are the brass and the wood. Now we have in this building tons and tons of brass. We have 189 brass doors, believe it or not. And each one of those doors today, if they had to be rebuilt, would cost $30,000. So when you come to the building, you'll see all the gleaming brass on the doors and on the pickets and the railings and the stairs and just basically all over the windows. Brass is all over. The second notable architectural aspect that was restored is the wood inside the theater itself. There are 1,700 wood panels in the theater, 1,700, and each one of those was restored by hand, and that required them to be stripped, restained, and given 4 coats of lacquer to bring them back to their original beauty. So those two things were unbelievable. In addition, we had to bring in all new seats. We have 3,200 seats in the theater, and the seats were all specifically designed for the building with acoustic issues in mind. And also, each seat has a cup holder, so our patrons can actually bring their beverages in with them, including alcoholic beverages. Other things that we did were making sure that all of the colors in the building suited the building and the mural and everything else that was inside, and the marble. And when you come to the building, you have to look at the marble. It's fascinating. All the marble is from Italy. And the marble is cut in 4 ways and book matched and just absolutely amazing for you to see. The reason that the renovation was so important is that we had a building that was a fantastic building. It was actually voted as to be a heritage building by City Council a couple of years ago. So now we're listed as a heritage building. But it was getting old, like all of us. It was 50 years old and needed a fair amount of attention to make it look good again. So because people were not excited about coming here because it looked so tired. So one of the first things that was very important to the renovation actually was making a deal with Sony, because with Sony as a partner for the naming rights for the building, we were able to take a theater that was old and tired and make it into the theater of the 21st century. So the other thing that happens when you come into the building is you're going to see 100 different Sony monitors all around the building. All of our signage, all of our information to the public is on monitors, and then we have North America's largest video wall of 21 screens being run by high-end Sony software that has beautiful video art on it, created by kids in the province, and that's one of the things that we're promoting, by the way, is trying to promote the fantastic work that kids in the schools from George Brown to Sheridan and so on do in the area of animation and CGI. So when you come here, you're going to see this beautiful 21 screen array right in front of you, and actually what's interesting about it is that's the new art right in front of you, the 21 screen video array, and behind you you'll have York Wilson's 100-foot mural. Really quite a lovely experience. So we did transform the building with Sony's help into the theater of the 21st century, and when people come in now, they're kind of shocked because the building looks new, but yet it looks old. And I think that's the best tribute to the redesign work, because we've kept all of the beautiful design that was created here in 1960, but modernized it with very simple changes in color and the technology to basically update the theater and make it a theater for the 21st century.
The Wilson's mural that you see behind me has dominated the lobby of the Sony Center since it was first unveiled on October 1st, 1960. and still remains the focal point of the newly renovated lobby today.
One of the notable elements of the building is York Wilson's mural that's in the lobby. It's 100 feet long and 15 feet high, and it's the largest mural in all of Canada, and York Wilson is the most prominent muralist of all Canada. And what we wanted to do for the reopening of the building was to pay tribute to York's work. So we hired a curator and went to his home and found that he had hundreds and hundreds of paintings that were stored in his home, which was also his painting studio. The curator was able to put together an incredible gallery installation showing York's work from the early days to up until when he died. So when you come to the building, you walk in the doors, you turn around, you look at the fantastic mural above your head, and then you start walking throughout the theater and you can see all of York's life coming to life on the walls and the paintings that he's done. And it was amazing because we actually were able to get the exhibition up and open just in time for his wife to see it, Leela, who died a week later at the age of 100. So it was very emotional for us. Our brand, after the opera and ballet left, was basically to turn this theater into a theater for the people. And when we're talking about Toronto, we're talking about a city that has 232 cultures in the city. It's the most amazing city in the world, the city with the most cultures of anywhere in the world. And nobody was really programming to all of those cultures. So what we decided to do is we said, let's see if this works. Let's see if we start programming to the various cultures, whether they'll come and whether they'll appreciate it. And we did. We started with South Asian show, Bombay Dreams, and then continued, and that would prove to be so successful, we continued to program to the various ethnic audiences. Right now we have an amazing production coming in from India. It's called Bharati, which will be playing in October. For 2 weeks, so I recommend everyone come to see it because it's going to be unbelievable. 70 people on the stage with musicians and acrobats and dancers. It's just extraordinary and something that everyone needs to see. But we do everything. It's not just South Asian. We do Asian, we do Iranian, we do Bosnian and Herzegovinian shows. We have Australian shows, Japanese shows, South American shows. Basically, our programmer, who probably has the best job in the world, travels all over the world to find these shows and bring them in to the building so that we can promote these to as many of the different cultures in the city as possible. And since nobody is doing that, that's what we do. The other thing I need to mention is that we tried to make the experience, the multicultural experience of coming to this theater, a full experience by also having a chef that serves food that is paired with the ethnicity of the show. So when you come to a South Asian show, you're going to have South Asian food, a Russian show, Russian food, and so on. And we've done this very successfully now for over a year, and it's fantastic. We open the doors at 6 o'clock. People can come in at 6 and pick up what I call very, very excellent casual food at an unbelievable price, because here you can have dinner and have a drink for under $20, tax and tip included.
The Sony Center reopened, I should say, 1 year ago on its 50th anniversary. It's actually October 1st, so it's coming up very soon. And we were brought on just before that to get ready for the reopening. Big Cirque du Soleil show that relaunched the opening. I've been cooking for 25 or so years, most of it here in Southern Ontario. And what I really like about being here is the diversity of the food that we get to cook. So we always come up with a different show, whether they're French shows or Russian ballets or Chinese shows, and it's doing the different foods from their culture that we offer here at the Sony Center. I guess the ones that I've enjoyed the most are the ones I've had to do more research on. We've done a lot of Indian shows, so researching the spices and the techniques of cooking Indian food and trying to make it as authentic as we possibly can has been it's been a challenge, but it's also been a very interesting time where we're learning a lot. And even after 25 years in this industry, you want to continue to learn and continue to better yourself in terms of how you do things, how you present things, and ultimately it's got to be the customer that's the happiest. So learning the Indian techniques, learn the different spices that the Indian food pertains, and a little more heat than maybe that I'm used to, but knowing not just to make it so hot that it's not bearable to eat, but it's got that nice flavor to it. We did a South African fundraiser for Stephen Lewis through the summertime with Alicia Keys and a whole bunch of acts that were here at the Sony, and learning their traditional foods and making it again as authentic as possible for the 250 guests that were here for that evening for their experience. So that's been the challenge, and working and learning those new techniques is always what this industry is about. You always learn.
One of the things that many cultures say to us when they have a show here is that by having a show for them in such an iconic building that for years was the home of the opera and ballet and basically only showing Western culture, by opening our doors to their community, we validate their culture. Now, to me personally, that's what gets me up every morning. It's not putting on a show, but it's putting on a show that helps the communities in this town feel like they are fully integrated into the fabric of Toronto. Toronto is a fascinating city. It's an anthropological experiment because of so many cultures. Because 232 cultures are here, we are a city of minorities. There's no majority in this city, which is extraordinary. And 232 cultures get along here pretty well, considering that two cultures can't get along in the Mideast. So, this is an incredible city, and our programming is really an effort to try to promote cross-cultural understanding between the various cultures. So when we put on a South Asian show, we don't only want South Asians to come, we want everyone to come from all different cultures, because the more that they see what beauty South Asian culture has to offer, the more they understand the South Asian culture, and with understanding comes much more tolerance and acceptability of those cultures. So that's what we do, and we feel that it's extremely important.
Bharati is actually a musical. It's a love story with a happy ending. But more importantly, I think it's an explosive mix of rites and rituals, traditions, modernity, costumes, choreographies, lights, images, visuals, music, singing, history, philosophy, humor from India. It's an eclectic mix of all of the above, and even if I may say so myself, very cleverly put together by the producers and the directors.
We don't have a culture of musical extravaganzas in India, so for a dancer, this could be a dream come true to be a part of something like this. So for me, the speciality, the USP is the fact that it's so huge, that it's so colorful, that it's so exotic. It wants to make you go to India when you watch the show, and that for me is a very special quality of the show.
It's been absolutely stunning. We've had over 2 million people watch the show live, which is in itself quite a record. We've performed it over 600 times. I myself have done over 550 shows. Bhavna's done 600 odd. Because it also happens in other languages. I do the French and the English. The reaction has been uniform across the globe. Uniform.
God blessingly, the reactions have been unanimous. Having said that, I'm never too confident about any new country that I go to, because I am a little cynical, and I always, I'm always thinking, okay, this could go wrong and that could go wrong, which is, artists.
I don't think anybody from Toronto is going to be actually sitting in their ties and coats at the end of the show. I'm not going to divulge anymore because I'd like them to come and have a look at the show. But yes, it's fantastic and stunning entertainment.
I have a very good feeling about this city because I learned something very interesting yesterday about Toronto, is that there is no majority community here. There are all minorities, and that itself is so beautiful. It shows that how tolerant and how accepting, warm and welcoming Toronto is. For me, the one thing that always works is those mammoth-sized butterflies in my stomach. Just the exactly 60 seconds before I step on stage.
For me personally, it's the split second when I walk from the wings to the stage.
That is what keeps me going, and I will continue to do it till I can feel those butterflies, because my mind, body, soul thrives on this feeling.
It's from illusion to reality. The stage is real. That's where I live. And that walk is absolutely stunning. That split second is a beautiful experience. It's magical.
Those 90 minutes of being dressed up in beautiful costumes and the lovely hair and makeup. I just feel like this princess, and the adulation and the love that I get from thousands and thousands of people every night, strangers that love you unconditionally just because of what they see of you as Bharati.
It's a beautiful power to have, not to misuse. A beautiful power to have, to be able to reach into the psyches of the people, take them away from where they are, from their bodies, from their thoughts, from their existences, into a dreamland for 2 hours, and then bring them back quietly. I think it's a great feeling.
That feeling is, I will be lying if I say that it doesn't give me a high. It definitely is what that is that feeling that keeps me going.
It's very interesting because it's something that appeals to universal values. Values like we can experience in any culture of the world, which is the fight between tradition and modernity, the paradox between how the heart behaves on its own. The heart has no law. Carmen says it beautifully. Love is a beautiful bird which has never known any laws. Is a child of Bohemia. So the heart that sort of takes you somewhere, and then the mind that makes you do something else. So it's like the father who wants his daughter to get married to somebody else, but the daughter fall in love with another guy. I mean, these are values these are sort of situations that arise in any culture of the world. So when we're talking universal